Alright, hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game here on Typhon Peaks between me and Gagao. I'll say it with my Cantonese accent, Gagao, here on Typhoon Peaks. One of the reasons why I decided to cast this game was, one, since I was sick, I actually had more time to play more StarCraft as opposed to cast it. And I started to develop some stronger strategies, some stronger build orders, and I wanted to show it to you guys. And now you guys have already seen one of my build orders for Terran versus Zerg. So this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss build, and in particular, how to deal with that early rush and that early rush that a lot of Protoss players go for. Protoss rushes early on, very powerful. Guardian shields make it very difficult for Marines to be able to fend off a large amount of attacks. You try to use your ramp and that doesn't work. You try to fight in open fields, it doesn't work. And just like what can you really do? It doesn't really feel like you know what you can do 90% of the time. So I will be showing you what I did in this particular game. I had a lot of I don't know, I guess I just had a really good StarCraft eye this game, and I was able to figure out what my opponent was doing, make the necessary adjustments, and then continue to move out. So you're going to see an SCV now making its way out from my base into my opponent's base. And, you know, pretty standard build orders. Gagao opening up with what Gateway Assimilator, should be getting up another pylon in just a moment, and then followed by there's that second pylon, and then should be getting a cybernetics core. Meanwhile, in my base, I am going for one refinery. I will be upgrading to that orbital command in just a second, and I wanted to create a little bit of a narrower choke point here. And this is questionable against Protoss. The reasoning behind this was I eventually thought I would place a bunker down right here, and a bunker on the ramp surrounded by this does help out a lot, because there's very little surface area for zealots in order to get some damage. And then if other units want to be able to deal damage, they need to sit wow, here and here. And by doing so, by sitting here and here, you can have your Marauders here and here still shooting against them as well. Now, Typhon Peaks, there is this dark brush area over here, making sure to build that supply depot and not become supply locked. There will be a probe now coming inside the base as well, and you're going to see this build. This build requires one refinery, and not a second refinery, and then it has a lot of raxes, a lot of barracks early in the game. You can see the probe going to try to come up that ramp. The probe is going to see pretty much these buildings here, but unless he clicked on them, or unless he knows exactly what a building should look like, it's very difficult to tell if that's a factory or a barracks early on. So he doesn't know if I'm going in for a barracks factory or barracks, which will help me out. Now, if you take a look back into his base right now, there is some additional gateways over here. The placement on this gateway very smart as well, making sure to have a pylon here to cover the brush, and then getting more gateways. So this is going to become a very effective rush early on. He does get that second assimilator. I didn't scout that first assimilator, so I thought I wasn't sure what he was trying to go for. He could have tried to expand over here, or I know he could have tried to go for a 4 gate. So the reason why I didn't go for a second gas is I wanted to be able to mine more minerals very effectively, and if he does expand, I can easily expand by slowing down my production for just a split second. Or if he does really rack up a lot of his units, I can rack up my production as well. If you have a barracks, always try to have a reactor on it. If you do not have a tech lab, it's one of those things where you try to calculate the amount of food your armies can build, or your barracks can build, and a barracks with an add-on can generally add about, I think it's 4 or 5 food every minute on average. If without an add-on, it is only 2.5 or 2, which is really bad. And essentially, even the tech lab doubles the effectiveness of the production, in creating a very large army. You can see I am building a second command center here, because I'm not sure if he is trying to go for a fast expansion or if he is going to be rushing me, and he is going for a 4 gate. So he is doing that standard 4 gate. You can see 23 probes. He has stopped producing probes, and he has a lot of energy on his nexus now, and also going for a robotics facility. So he doesn't want to try to push out just quite yet. Me, on the other hand, if you take a look at the armies and the army sizes, army supply 20 versus 20, decent sized army supply. But if you also look just purely at the army gas count, he has a much higher gas effective army. The reason behind that is because of these sentries. Those 3 sentries with force fields are a very key integral part of the Protoss rush. So what I'm gonna see now is Stalkers now moving out. I do have an SCV activating this Elnaga watchtower. So this allowed me to see that he was going to be trying to push with a fairly large army, and I thought he was perhaps going to try to put a proxy pylon down and then try to rush me with a very effective army, a very large army early on. So what I purposely did was I moved Marines over here, and then I left a little bit of units over here that would still be producing. So what you're going to see is he's going to try to charge up that ramp, and by charging up that ramp now, he force fields, gets it down a little bit too late, and I'm already in a very strong position. So you can take a look, because my units were able to get a very strong flank down, I was able to get a lot of damage onto his units. But I did end up sacrificing a lot of the health on my units. You can take a look at this there. A lot of health lost across my Marauders, my Marines, and I know that his rush had failed. Now, I was thinking whether or not I should try to charge up that ramp, and I decided against it just because he had those sentries. Sentries on a ramp can easily stop any rush that I'm trying to go for. And I want to make sure that these units, I have just won a very critical battle, and I want to make sure that I extend my advantage. So you're going to see 66 over 46 food now. And this was all because I had my units already on the low ground, split them up so that the force fields and the guardian shields would not nearly work out as well. Because he would have just been able to force field my units on the ramp, split up my army, and then won the battle that way. SCVs now being transferred to the low ground. I have a decent number of SCVs on the low ground and some more SCVs on the high ground as well. And I'm going to see another army that he's trying to macro up, that he's trying to produce. Now, although I have a larger army right now at 2,000 minerals, I know my units are much weaker. A full hit point Marauder versus a Marauder with 15 hit points, they obviously deal the same amount of damage, but my Marauders with low hit points and my Marines with low hit points would also die much more quickly. So I need to be careful about how I use these units. So you're going to see that the Stalkers, Immortal, and Sentries are now charging in, and I'm going to do something that I don't typically do. I'm going to take all of my units and run them back up the ramp. I did scanner sweep to know that he did not have another base, so I know, okay, if you're going to try to run off of one base, I'll just continue to run off of one base as well. I'll move my orbital command here, I'll call down some additional mules, and now I am mining very effectively off of one base. I know I have a very high saturation count, and I also have Marauders and Marines that can protect this refinery if I need to. Now, all this is really doing, it's buying me time. It's buying me time to get the research on my engineering bay for my Marines and Marauders, and also to get the necessary medevacs. The medevacs to heal up my already low hit point units. Medevacs, they will deplete out of energy very quickly when you have a large number of units already low on hit points. So I am training them up as quickly as possible. And I know that my opponent is now simply just trying to contain me, trying to keep me in one base play. So he's going to make sure that I don't have an expansion down over here, walk back over, and then he's thinking that he's pretty safe right now. 2,200 versus a 275. He still has the larger army who charges up the ramp with that Zealot. That Zealot is now dead as well, not able to do very much at all. But he was able to scout out this attack force. But what was key was that I was able to load up 2 full medevacs. Now, whenever your opponent tries to 4 gate you, one of the distinct advantages that they have is that they have the advantage of being able to put in reinforcements close into your base. So it's almost like they're fighting at home. The disadvantage about that is that if they're running off of a standard 4 gate, if you have a 2 medevac drop straight into a base, it's going to be a lot of time before any units really get into your base. So I'm now going to come in, and now my Marines are going to be dropping it in on the top side. They have that 1-0 upgrades already. The Marines just simply dropping and taking down the probes. Gagao now in a bit of trouble trying to run away with those units, realizing that he is in a world of hurt now. So he's going to try to charge up this ramp, but charging up a ramp is very, very difficult, especially if I have Marauders and Marines here. Those force fields now also hurting him, because I saw in my mind's eye that he was going to try to force field to try to split up my Marauders, but her sentries were really far back. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using the advantage, and not many of those Zealots are able to engage. I also have a bunker with a Marine inside just for the additional range, just to be able to get more damage in. The Stalkers are now getting destroyed. I've been able to take down his Nexus, 1-0 Marines inside his base, and taking it for the win there. You can see Gagao only down to 250 minerals, no additional, not enough to build another Nexus unless he cancels this, but he would have been completely reset, and that's the game. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay here on Typhon Peaks. Just concerning this recent game that I played on Battle.net. Hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of a better insight on how to play against Protoss as Terran. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening.